I have a lot of friends who are in law enforcement from other work that I've done, and so I immediately went to them and asked for some of them who are detectives, and I also specifically wanted to know about missing children and what those types of investigations were like, and emotionally for police officers, and also just the actual going about how they go about things. And I have like piles of written research, and then also video research. Particularly for me, was fascinating was watching interrogations and seeing how sort of like the human species, like how we assume something of someone, we are skeptical of them. They become very different from what we thought they were. And those who are most innocent to us could be the opposite, or could just be innocent. And more often than not, it's an equation that follows no rules. Detective Loki, I think, was somewhat of a juvenile criminal himself. He was an orphaned pretty young, and I don't think he has, I know that he doesn't have parents that he knew. I think he was sort of shuffled in and out of foster homes and found himself in, a juvenile detention system. And then got kind of picked up at a certain point and found his way into another institution, which was really the police department. And so I think that's what makes him so good at a younger age to, at solving crimes like this. He's not really afraid of getting into that world, and he's seen many minds like that before. I believe that casting is, the assembling a crew and a cast is the most important part of directing a movie. I can see from watching directors do it, and who they get is a real testament to who they are and their talent. And to me, every time I think about the cast, I just always go back to the director, because, it's Denis who has assembled all of us. He got me fascinated with the character because of our relationship. And then as he told me he brought people on, I was like, what? But I think that's, I don't think there's any burden at all when you're working with extraordinarily talented people. For me, I always say, I always want to be working with people who are better actors than me, and in this case, every single scene I get to. Denis is ideal. He's an ideal director in that he has an incredibly visual default, meaning, his initial inclination is storytelling in the visuals. Then whatever's inside those visuals, he has to be deeply intimate with and connected to. So the actors are everything to him, and his relationship and his patience with us is extraordinary. When you have Hugh Jackman, Melissa Leo, and then me in a scene together, or whatever combination of the actors you want to put together in a scene, and you have the ability to have them all feel satisfied by what they're doing, that is an almost impossible feat. The man who's directing this movie, the storyteller behind it, and everybody involved has brought honesty to everything they've done. And so, to me, what I think you'll get out of this movie is not only, like, obviously, who done it, all those things, you're never going to know. That is up until the very end. I think that stuff is going to be so sealed tight as storytelling. But I think more than anything, I think you're going to walk out of this movie going like, those characters, all of them, are so complex. I can't just watch that once. Not just because, I want to see all the clues that I didn't see before, which they're all over this movie. But more than anything, the depth of the people playing these parts and the humanness to them. And I believe that's what I think people will take away from this movie more than anything. When I read the character, it was fascinating, and then eventually when I talked with Denis, I said, when you play a character that is a detective, there are numerous, I wouldn't say pitfalls, but it's been done by so many great people, and those types of characters have been played, and what is it that makes him different than the other ones that we've seen? And I think what I loved about Loki was this sense of real skepticism and questioning and paranoia at all times. The potential of the fact that anybody who's really a great detective loves the idea of, has to somewhere, though they may despise it, have to get into the mindset and the mind of the person who's done the crime that they're trying to solve. And the only way you can successfully do that is to in a way, love what you do, and in a way, love that mindset.